Justice League Chaos Creator Rimuru times Justice League by Yazu_U. Chapter 4. Normal life continuous. Another day had begun. Wow, you're really something, huh? Rimuru looked up from kneading dough, a faint smile on his lips as a young boy, barely into his teens, leaned over the counter, staring with wide-eyed fascination. I mean, who can bake and look like that? It's almost unfair, the boy added, grinning mischievously. You flatter me too much, Rimuru replied, brushing flour off his hands with a chuckle. But trust me, baking isn't about looks. It's about skill and patience, and maybe a little magic. Magic? The boy gasped, his eyes lighting up. Rimuru winked. Just kidding, or am I? Before the boy could respond, the bell above the bakery door chimed, signaling the arrival of a new customer, or more accurately, a new crowd. It's open, move, move. I was here first. A group of teenage girls rushed in, their excitement filling the air. They quickly surrounded the counter, phones in hand, each vying for Rimuru's attention. Excuse me, Rimuru, can I get a selfie with you? Me first, please. You're so beautiful, are you a model or something? Rimuru's expression shifted into polite amusement. I'm flattered, really. But shouldn't you all be here for the breads and not pictures? The girls giggled, clearly unfazed. One of them held up her phone, already snapping pictures. But you're the real star here, honestly, the bread is like a bonus, another chimed in. Rimuru sighed good-naturedly, obliging them with a few quick poses. As he did, he noticed a young man lingering near the display case, his posture a little too casual as he examined the baked goods. Anything catch your eye? Rimuru asked, tilting his head. The young man straightened, flashing what he probably thought was a winning smile. Actually, yeah, you. The bakery grew quiet for a moment as the girls collectively gasped, their attention snapping toward the bold interloper. Rimuru raised an eyebrow, folding his arms. I see, and what exactly are you planning to do with that information? The young man faltered slightly but quickly recovered. I was thinking, maybe I could take you out for dinner sometime, you know, after you're done here. The girls erupted into whispers, their opinions split between admiration for his courage and disbelief at his audacity. Rimuru's lips curved into a small, knowing smile. Tempting, but I'm afraid I'm married to the bakery right now. Maybe come back when you've perfected your bread-making skills. The crowd burst into laughter, and the young man, thoroughly embarrassed, muttered something about coming back later before making a hasty exit. The rest of the day passed in a whirlwind. Customers came and went in droves, the scent of freshly baked bread practically luring people in off the street. Do you have any more of those cinnamon rolls? Sorry, sold out an hour ago. Rimuru replied for the 5th time that afternoon. Barry frowns, what about croissants? Sold out too. I still have a few loaves of sourdough left if you're interested. So much for going early, Barry muttered in disappointment. By mid-afternoon, Rimuru's shelves were nearly bare. A mother and her young daughter stood at the counter, the girl clutching a small plush toy as she gazed longingly at the last chocolate muffin. Go ahead, Rimuru said, sliding the muffin toward her with a smile. It's on the house. Really? The girl asked, her eyes wide with excitement. Really, but only if you promise to tell me how it tastes. She nodded enthusiastically, taking a big bite. Her face lit up, and she gave Rimuru a thumbs up and a sweet smile. Delicious. Glad to hear it, Rimuru replied, his smile softening. As evening fell, the bakery showed no signs of slowing down. A group of office workers arrived, laughing and chatting as they placed a massive order. I don't know how you do it, one of them said as Rimuru handed over their bags. This place is always so packed, but you never seem stressed. Rimuru shrugged. It's all about pacing yourself, and maybe having a good sense of humor. By the time the last customer left and the doorbell jingled for the final time, Rimuru leaned against the counter, surveying the chaos left behind. Empty shelves, crumbs scattered across the floor, and an overflowing trash bin bore testament to the day's frenzy. Well, he muttered to himself, brushing a stray lock of hair from his face, that was intense. He grabbed a broom and started sweeping, his mind wandering as he worked. The bakery had become far more popular than he'd anticipated, and while he was grateful, the sheer volume of work was starting to take its toll mentally. I might need some help, he admitted aloud, pausing to lean on the broom handle. Images of the day's events flashed through his mind. The endless lines, the selfie requests, somethings and etc. And maybe someone to handle all the attention, he added with a wry smile. Rimuru finished cleaning up, flipping the sign on the door to closed. He stood for a moment, looking out at the quiet street, the stars just beginning to peek through the evening sky. Guess I'll have to start hiring, he mused, locking the door. With that, he headed upstairs, ready to unwind and prepare for whatever tomorrow might bring. 6 months later, Rimuru's bakery, Tempest Bread, had become the talk of the town. What started as a small shop in a corner of a bustling street had grown into a much larger, spacious store. The walls were lined with windows that let in the morning sun, and the interior was filled with a warm, cozy atmosphere that invited both regulars and newcomers to linger. The aroma of freshly baked bread, sweet pastries, and the occasional savory treat wafted through the air, as it always had, but there was a certain change. The initial buzz surrounding Tempest Bread had died down, as these things often did. The lines were no longer as long, and the constant flow of new customers had slowed to a manageable, but steady pace. It wasn't that the quality of Rimuru's bread had dropped, if anything, it had only gotten better. But like all things, popularity ebbed and flowed. The newness had worn off, and the bakery, though still adored, had become part of the familiar rhythm of the town. Still, Rimuru was content. He had hired a small team to help him with the growing demands. 2 employees manned the front counter, Anna, a bubbly young woman who always wore a bright smile, and Lucas, a quiet yet reliable man who kept the place tidy. Between them, the 2 managed the register, handled customer orders, and made sure the bakery was clean and presentable. But Rimuru wasn't just the owner, he was also the heart of the bakery. He still handled all the cooking, baking, and recipe experimentation. No one else could replicate the level of craftsmanship he put into each loaf, each pastry, and every delicious bread. After all, Tempest Bread's reputation was built on that top-tier quality, and Rimuru wasn't about to let that slip. Thankfully, he has infinite stamina and does not need rest, plus a little magic quite help him finish everything in a swift if ever he was in a hurry. Though his talent in the kitchen is nowhere near as good as Shuna. Speaking of kitchen, he thought of Shion and shivered when she cooked for him last time. Altuf it tastes good because of her skill, but visually, it looks horrific. As the sun rose over the now bustling neighborhood, Rimuru finished up a batch of croissants, watching the delicate layers bake perfectly in the oven. He glanced at the clock, then sighed, realizing he had a trip ahead of him. The invitation had come unexpectedly, but Rimuru knew he couldn't pass it up. "Hey, Anna, Lucas," he called, sliding a tray of fresh pastries onto the counter, "I'm heading out for a couple of days. Keep everything running smoothly, okay? Once the stock is out and I am still out, just close the store." Anna looked up, her smile not wavering. "Of course, boss. We've got it covered." Lucas nodded silently, giving Rimuru a thumbs up. "Good," Rimuru said, adjusting his apron and making sure everything was in order before turning to leave. "I'll be back in 2 days. If anything urgent happens, call me. Otherwise, just keep the customers happy, alright?" "Understood," Anna chimed. As Rimuru stepped outside, the cool air greeted him with a fresh breeze. He wasn't sure what to expect from this cooking show in Metropolis, but it could be a perfect opportunity to spread Tempest Bread's name even further. The show was called Master of the Kitchen, a cooking competition that had become a staple on the city's network. Rimuru had been invited by one of the producers, who had gotten word of his reputation in the town. It was a rare invitation, and Rimuru knew that appearances on shows like this were often the gateway to a larger, more widespread following. His eyes gleamed with determination as he stepped into the bus heading towards Metropolis.